Dun,
Bum,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun,
bum,
dun.
bum,
Kilted
bum,
balls.
balls. Woohoo! I knew
Oh
you
my
were going to go
gosh.
short on that one.
Hey, welcome back to the Kilted Balls podcast. And holy cow, we have a special guest today. Yeah. So
Woohoo!
hopefully you remember Jason from his interview. He is out visiting Kilted Dragon Chair today. And so in between bouts of crazy hot man sex, he decided to be part of this video with us. So sweet, nice job.
Yeah, we definitely needed a break.
Well, you know, chafing and all that. For sure, for sure. So Jason, welcome back. How's life been? Good?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's great. I've been looking for a bridge to sleep under. So
Nice,
that's
nice. Oh yeah, you sold your house.
yeah, sold my house. I'm on the road route right now. Not sure where I'm going to end up, but life will take me there.
That's beautiful. Kilted was a gypsy as well at one point in his life.
I did. I've done it a couple times.
So you are in good company.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
company. I
He's
have
been
never
showing
been
me-
a gypsy, but
Yeah, he's been showing me all the best bridges around town.
Mhm.
nice. Nice. That's the best. I never understand. This is like a personal thing that I don't understand. I'm sure somebody can explain this to me. But speaking of gypsies, we have homeless people in Michigan like everywhere else, right?
Mhm.
And I don't understand that. Like not
How,
even a little bit.
how you get homeless or
No, no, no. I understand how you get homeless. I don't understand how you decide or not decide or whatever to be homeless in Michigan.
when there's so
Like,
much nicer places.
I used to always say if I was ever homeless in Michigan, I'd just walk to Florida. But I guess if you have that much gumption where you're going to walk 1,000 miles to get to where it's warm,
Yeah,
you're probably not going to be homeless.
that makes
but you know what? I wouldn't even have to walk. Like, it's not like you have to do 1,000 miles at once. You just
Right.
aim south and you just start walking because, like, you just got back from a lovely cruise. It looked amazing. But while we were talking on your cruise, you commented on the weather here because we had 6 inches of snow.
No.
Like, that's not a good spot to be. Like, you're out under a bridge and there's 6 inches of snow coming down around you. That's atrocious.
Yeah, there's nicer places to be homeless, but it's that ambition
Yeah.
to do something different. And that's probably for a lot of people homeless in that area, I would assume it's home. Like that's home to them.
Like,
And
that's what they
don't-
know.
they don't know that you can go to California and they'll pay you like $1,000 a month to be homeless.
Well, and also,
and give you a cell phone. And
well, and
medical-
also homeless people have the poor problem that a lot of times it's a mental health issue too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that makes it hard. Like, you're too messed up to know to go south, right? Are you guys doing like a dance for us? Is that what's going on?
we were going back. We were going back for another round.
Oh my word! Like, all of a sudden, all we get is ass in the camera right there.
We're not supposed to. Is that not what the episode's about?
Oh, wait. Wrong podcast.
Wrong podcast. Wrong podcast. But yeah, that trip looked amazing. Was it as amazing as it looked, or was that just all?
Oh yeah, it was amazing. I mean, it was really nice. I mean, the one thing that was missing on the entire trip, like in the middle of the ocean, as I looked around watching your videos, was snow. We had none of that there.
None of that. None of
Man,
that.
it was incredible. I mean, being on a ship in the middle of the Atlantic, I mean, we couldn't get up to the bow to do the Jack and Rose, but you could look around and you just feel like you're on the center of the earth and you just feel small. Like everything seems so small and insignificant out there. I mean, it really is incredible.
That is just amazing. I've never been on a cruise, and hearing you guys talk about it made me kind of want to be on one, which is actually a big step because I've never wanted to be on one before.
Step.
Yeah.
So I've never wanted to, but I told Amy, I'm like, they're talking about cheap cruises. Maybe we go take a 3 or 4 day one. And she's like looking at me like, who are you? But that would be kind of cool.
I mean, and right now the pricing has been incredible. I mean, it's cheaper right now for Lena and I to be on a cruise ship in certain cases than even being an Airbnb.
Oh man, that
So
is
I mean, and
crazy.
they feed
Well,
you,
yeah,
they
because all the
entertain
food and
you.
everything too.
Yeah, yeah. So I've already got the next one booked. So
That is amazing.
going out December 10th, 8 nights somewhere in the middle of the Caribbean.
That's really rough.
Yeah,
Really rough.
That's the advantage of being homeless, though. You can,
you
I
can
mean,
right.
you want to get on the cruise ship, you just get on the cruise ship.
Well, that's why aren't these people on the cruise ships? I mean,
Yeah.
it
Why are they not on the cruise
Is
ship?
it the $35 a day?
is. It's the tipping.
The tipping would eat into your pop cans for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. And you can't stand anywhere on the ship with a sign that says need help.
They don't believe that.
They don't totally frowned upon. Yeah, totally frowned upon.
We
They do have
used to
like
have a
little
guy at MSU, and it's interesting because he has the same college degree as Kilted does,
Mhm.
but he used to be called the Can Man. And every time you got done with the class at MSU, this old guy would come walking through with a bag, grabbing like all the cans, all the pop cans.
Mm.
And then they did a newspaper article on him. And what was he bringing in? So this was back in early 2000, late 1990s, actually. So
Mhm.
it was the 1990s. And he was bringing in, I think it was like what, 60, 80,000 a year?
That's what if I was on a test, I would have guessed 60 from
Yeah,
my memory. I thought that's what it said he made a year.
that's what I thought it was. So
Returning because it's deposit, you pay the 10 cents, then you can take them back in and they give you your 10 cents
That's
back.
a lot of cans.
oh my gosh, you would see him with his bike, and his bike would just be bags and bags of cans, riding his bike to the local store to cash them all in. And he would be doing that, what, a couple times a day?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and he wasn't homeless or anything. That was his job, and everybody knew him as the can man. And he just gathered all the cans, drove to the store, deposited them, and that was his gig.
Yeah, I mean, there really is an unlimited amount of money out there to go after. I mean, it's
Yeah.
when I was actually we were talking today a little bit, but when I first left my first job to go into my own business, it was kind of like, I can make, and I don't remember the exact amount, but I was a district manager and I had 20 locations at one point, but I wasn't making a ton of money, and I was like, well, I can make this doing anything. Like I could go anywhere and do this. So I decided to go off on my own and try at least make my own way, and kind of never look back really.
Well, and you're right. There is money everywhere, right? Like we've talked about it. We all three of us have been in sales in our different business lives. And like
Mhm.
that was one of the things like we noticed about the candy. We're selling $4 pieces of licorice, which I remember when Kilted told me about it. I was like, that's like freaking highway robbery. Like $4 for a chunk of licorice.
Yeah.
But there's so much money out there, people didn't care. They're like, oh yeah, here you go. Take
Mhm.
my
Yeah.
money. And I'm like,
Then all of
okay.
a sudden, a few years later, you're the cheapest thing there.
If we had gone back this year, even last year, we were the cheapest. It wasn't even close. Like it's like I think it's like $7 or $8 for an elephant ear, and we used to be the
Mhm.
same price.
Mhm.
But now we're kind of getting out of it. Like we're planning on closing down the warehouse and everything else.
Yeah,
So
I was just saying. I was just telling Jason that today.
yeah. So
You
if
guys have
anybody
a long
wants
run
some
there.
fast licorice, let us know because we are going to like just pitch it all, I think. So
How much red? How much of the red and black do you have left?
do
Were you getting
you
pretty
want
low?
that in poundage or
Pallets?
probably a pallet and a half of both without looking?
Okay, so you have that much left still.
Wow.
Boo.
Oh yeah, for
A
sure,
lot of
for
licorice.
sure we do.
Okay.
Well,
Oh,
I sold that for a brief minute. I sold it for a brief minute, and then I didn't sell it anymore. And
we we really enjoyed it. We had a good
yeah,
time. I think my daughters still talk about that's some of the because our daughters sold it too, and they still talk about that was some of the things that helped form them because how old's your daughter?
7.
Okay, so Cora probably started selling about 8,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So she's not 16 yet, right? So, and we started a long time ago, and that was like always her thing. Like she really wanted to sell, and the older girls didn't learning how to talk to people
Hmm.
They say it's just huge in their life now, like not
Yeah.
being afraid to just reach out. But for us, what happened is they changed manufacturers, they changed distributors, they changed product, and we could still sell it because we can sell anything, but it's not the product that we think is right.
Right.
And it's not, we don't need to. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
the nice thing. We get to do what we want. And so we're looking at that going, we don't like this the way this is going. We don't like this product. We just won't do it. We don't need to do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we'll just walk away. And
Yeah.
it's nice to have that ability, right?
Yeah.
But again, it's because money's everywhere. You don't,
Yeah.
and if you're sitting there listening to us right now, or it's one of your first times, you're listening to this on repeat, and you're like, it's easy for you guys to say because you guys all have all this money, or you seem like you have money. It's important for you all to know that we don't. Like, we didn't come up with silver spoons. Like,
Hmm.
freaking Jer's house was like
Wooden
20
spoon.
degrees growing up.
No, my dad kept it slightly warmer than that, so the pipes were.
His dad fed me chicken, Jason, covered with ash. True
That's another
story.
story. That's a funny story.
I thought you were
not
going to
good.
raw because he wouldn't turn on the stove.
Well,
It was I think it was raw too.
It was raw on that
Oh.
side.
It was raw.
The fire kept going out, and he'd blow on the fire, and all the ash would go up. Then he'd put barbecue sauce on it.
So it was
8
ash
hours
and
later, we
barbecue
finally
sauce.
just ate.
And we were
Oh.
starving, and so we're just like, give it to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah,
You
definitely.
just had to cut it thinner. It would have cooked fat, thinner slices.
Oh man, it cooked in my belly. What
Ugh.
happened?
Glad
Salt
to
and
see you're
Mills
still-
doesn't got anything on me.
Mhm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Oh my word. But yeah, so all three of us have gotten where we are because we have that mindset that money is everywhere. And like we were just talking about with homeless people, and they don't have the drive to do that. If money is your driving object, which it's not really mine, but it is for some people, it's there. You just have to take it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
Like,
and they
that's the
get
thing.
they get what they need. They get what they need. So
Mhm.
you know, and you know, a lot of it's a choice. I mean, people who don't want to be homeless make a choice not to, and there's lots of ways to get help, and it can be short term if you want it to be, or if you enjoy that lifestyle, or not even enjoy it. It's just that's what you want in your life, then that's what you get. You know, there's ways out of it, and not necessarily all easy ways, but you know,
Mhm.
you don't have to live like that forever.
Well, or any way you're living, any way you are living right now,
Yeah, yeah, excellent point.
that doesn't have to be the way you're living. Now, I'm not saying, hey, you're going to be able to get $500,000 a year and live on an island somewhere. Like, there's a reason why the 1% are the 1%, right?
Yeah.
Don't buy into the BS that everybody can be a billionaire. That's just not a thing. Even if everybody had the potential, the people who are at the 1% would keep you from being at the 1%.
Well, they're trying that already.
Well, it's a board game, right? It's playing Monopoly, it's playing
Mhm.
Risk, it's playing Hotels, it's playing Rat Race, all of those games. It's playing a game. They're winning, and they're not going to be like, hey, why don't you other 5 billion people come win with us?
Mhm.
They'll change the rules, or they'll change the way they play the game because they want to be winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to go back to what you said earlier, mindset is a huge thing, and it's not instant.
Right.
Changing your mindset, like, I mean, we've been friends for forever, and when I was younger, I was the worst self-talker that anyone could imagine. And that's just how I was brought up, and this and that. I was just very hard on myself. And that takes time. It takes time to do that, to change your mindset, to
Yeah.
change how that works. Or I was even trying to tell Gina how I trained myself to fall asleep as fast as I fall asleep. But it took time, and I did certain things, and now when it's time to go to bed, I go to sleep. But it wasn't instant.
It wasn't something that just happened. Well, it's like getting physically fit.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen.
No,
You got
it
to
takes
do
time.
work.
Yeah. Well, and to that point, last year I got COVID. So
Hmm.
my routine changed. I lost a bunch of weight. Then I wasn't able to run during that period, and trying to get back on it was difficult. And then I hurt my leg. And, the next thing I know, it's like I'm not doing it anymore. I'm starting to gain the weight back. And then this year, as I'm listing my house and packing and all of that, that was stressful and not having time. But I wasn't doing those things. So the weight creeped back up. And I thought to myself, I just was doing so great. Well, what was I doing? Well, I was doing the things that make you lose weight. And when I stopped doing that behavior, I stopped getting that result. And if you want to look like somebody who's, you know, fit and in the gym all the time, you got to be a person who's fit and in the gym. You're not going to get it not having the habits to create that lifestyle. We
No.
create the world we live in, and we create it through our habits and our decisions, and our choices. And so you got to get on it, head in that direction, whatever that direction is for
Right.
you.
Well, and
Yeah.
motivation is a weird thing. One of the things that I have issues with, like in my own life, and people who know me would get this, like Kilted would, like I know the right things to do. It's literally my job, right?
Yeah.
To know the right things to do. That doesn't mean I'm gonna do it. So like
Yeah.
one of the things that we were laughing about, we've been laughing about it all week, is we watched the Discovery Plus show with Chris Hemsworth called Limitless.
Yeah.
Okay. We're 3 episodes in, but in the second episode, he's swimming in Alaska, middle of winter, and he's swimming like 100 meters or, whatever. It's a long ass way. And so he spends 4 days getting acclimated, and they're talking about how being super cold like that makes you so much healthier and blah, blah, blah. And I know, Kilted, you did this where you took a cold shower every
Yeah, for
morning.
a while.
Yeah. And so like we're watching that and he's like, "Oh my gosh. So do you think you'll start doing that? Cuz you said you did that in high school a little bit here and there." And I'm like, "Hell no." And she's like, "Really? You don't think you would? Like you don't think you can?" I'm like, "I know I can. I really enjoy feeling warm and comfortable in the morning. I I like that feeling. I
Yeah.
go into the shower, I take my nice warm shower, I get out of it, I'm happy, I'm ready to start the day. I go, I'd still be happy if I took a cold shower, but I wouldn't be enjoying it. And I'm kind of at the point in my life where I like to enjoy things like that. And I go, I don't want to do that. Do I know that'll make me probably a healthier individual? Yeah. Just like I know if I eat just salads and vegetables all the time, I'll be a healthier individual.
Mhm.
I still got Little Caesars tonight. So
Nice.
Mm.
Yeah, I learned that from Tony Robbins talks about how he does his cold plunge
Yeah.
each day. So I wouldn't take my whole shower cold. I just turn the water on cold and stand there for a while, then I turn it up. But one of my first TikToks is me live in the shower doing that.
well, they say you only need like 30 seconds. They're like
Yeah,
30 seconds in the shower. And I saw a recent one that was like if you take an ice bath for total 11 minutes a week, the effects are crazy.
Well, one of the things that I know Tony Robbins talks about the cold plunge, and listening to him on stage last year, he said, like you said, he doesn't enjoy it. I mean,
Right.
he doesn't. Every
Mhm.
time he steps up to do that, he doesn't want to do it. He forces himself to do it. And I've heard him say this, and others say this as well, that one of the benefits is it's hard to do. And so if you train yourself to do something
Yeah, I've heard him
hard,
say that.
you're accomplishing something hard, and life is hard. And the decisions that we need to make to create a better life for ourselves, if that's what our goal is, they're hard things to do. It was really hard to sell my house. For me, it was the right choice to make. I was way too comfortable there, and I needed to get out of that space in order to move on to the next phase of my life. I could have stayed there and been just super comfortable, and that's it. I forced myself to do something hard, to put myself in this situation to figure out what's next, because that's what I needed this for me to get to that next phase and be comfortable with it and to grow. and it's hard, and it's hard to do hard things. So I've taken a few cold showers since then.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I
and
dated that
that's
girl who used to make me lay in the ice bed and then like lay perfectly still after doing that. So
well, and I coach a sport that's considered incredibly hard and difficult, and that's one
Yeah.
of the things I preach. You want to do the hard stuff and train yourself to do the hard stuff,
Mhm.
because then you get used to doing the hard stuff and life becomes easier.
Yeah.
That
When
doesn't mean I'm going to start taking cold showers.
Yeah. Well, when that
I
unexpected
might
thing
have to go
hits
back
you,
to that again.
when that unexpected thing hits you that's hard, it doesn't seem so hard when you're doing lots of other hard things because
right.
you know you can figure it out. And
Well, everything is relative. Everything is relative. So, like a great example of that would be the last episode I watched, episode 3. He was fasting for 4 days, right? And Chris Hemsworth, you've seen him. He loves food, and he's going on a 4-day fast. And my daughter has done fasting before, and she's like watching him, and like day 2, he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so tired. I'm mentally drained. I can't do anything." And my daughter's sitting there and she's like, "Same, Chris. Same. I feel you, bro." And like he's going through all these feelings, and he goes into day 3 and he's complaining, and she's like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about." And it's relative because he's getting into his 4th day, and she's sitting there, she's like, "Is he drinking water?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, when you fast, you drink water." So I go, "He's been drinking water this whole time, as much water as he wanted." I go, "Probably coffee and tea too. Like it's really, you just don't want any sugars or calories." She's like, "What a wuss." She goes, "I did this with no water." He goes, "He had water for 4 days. What's he crying about? That's the hard part." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we've ruined you." Right? Like her standard for what's hard isn't going 2 days without food or 3 days without food. It's going 2 days or 3 days without food and water. That's her bar for what's hard. And so seeing this guy suffering 4 days without food, all of a sudden she's like, "Oh my gosh, you're a chump. Like, be a real man. Go without water and see how you feel." I'm like, "Oh man, that's rough."
Sure.
So
Yeah,
it's all relative, right?
you're
But
not sure
she
you're supposed to do that for 4 days without water, though. Just so
Super.
anybody who's listening, I think like maybe a day or 2 without water, but 4 days is starting to get extreme without water.
It's very hard. It's very, very difficult.
Probably not recommended.
Yeah, it's a tough thing. But it's interesting because, and we were talking, it was funny during the episode, we were talking about how some religions do that. So like in my religion, and my family does this all the time, during Holy Week, they won't eat from Thursday to Sunday. Like that's just part of their faith and their rituals. But the part that's funny to me is, just like with my daughter, they're putting themselves through the hard thing.
Yeah.
And then nothing else is hard. And you know what? If you have to go an extra hour before dinner,
No big deal.
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. Or you have to go, like, oh, I'm
Unless
going to
you're
skip.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Yeah, then it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Well, and I get really hangry, so like my family makes sure to like kind of keep food on hand for when the hangry comes out. But we all have our own little things. So, but the point is that hardness is relative, and experiencing that makes the other hard things not as hard.
Yeah.
Because you're used to it, or
Yeah.
you at
Especially
least know.
being an entrepreneur, I mean, it does help because it's difficult. It's difficult being an entrepreneur to start businesses and to do that. And we are just having that talk today, uh, with Gina. Carmen wants to open her own business, and so she can set her own hours and everything. And at 21, that sounds amazing. But Gina's like, it's really difficult to do that. Like, she wishes her the best, but it seems like she might be trying to do it because it will be easier than working 40 hours a week.
Well, because you can make your own schedule.
You can make your own schedule.
So,
Well, and
yeah.
that's what people think, right? They go,
Yeah.
"Oh, I'm going to do this because it's going
I
to
can
be
work
easier." Again,
later.
they're trying to take the easy path. And one of the things I try to tell my peeps that I'm working with all the time is there is no easy path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all paths lead the same way. I said it today. I go, all ways lead to the way. There is no set way. And if you try to take this easy path over here, trust me, that bitch is gonna get hard sooner or later. There is no easy path. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean you have to take the hardest path either.
Right.
You've just got to recognize that all the paths are going to have difficulty and you're going to have to fight through all of them. And yeah, people who like look at those business owners, right? And they're like, "Oh yeah, I can set my own schedule." Yeah, your own schedule for working 80 fucking hours a week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like
You can be there.
let me tell you, going and being a 40-hour a week manager is way nicer than going and working 80 hours a week. The difference is you like one of them and you like the control of the one of them and you're willing to put up with that shit because you like that control,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And you always said that, Kilted. Like I still remember you had a person once who was like, "You need to get a real job and get benefits." And you're like, I can't work for somebody again. Like
Yeah.
I need to control my destiny. And you were right on, right? And
Mhm.
honestly, if I was working in a job that I didn't control, I might feel as stifled as a lot of my peers do, right? Like I'm
Mhm.
different because I do have all the control. so so it's not quite the same gig, but like I guess it's easier for me to go to work knowing that I'm the one who's in charge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Whether the people who think they're my bosses know it or not.
Well, and that's the difference too. An entrepreneur, like when you do the candy, you
Mhm.
got to figure it out. Whatever it is, however hard it is, whether it's weather or something with the order messed up or
Oh my
whatever
gosh.
it is, upset, you got to figure it out. There is no boss for you to go to. You got to
Right.
figure it out. Now, when you're working for somebody else, you hit that wall. I mean, I can't think of any job where there's not somebody above you that you can pass somebody up the chain to deal with something bigger or shift it around.
Right.
You have a lot of other support. You can have support being your own boss, having your own career and job. You could surround yourself with people that help support you, but in the beginning you got to figure it out, and at the end of the day it's up to you to make that decision to figure it out for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And you
And
don't always get it right, and you move on.
yeah. Well, and that's where again being able to deal with the difficult things makes it. So,
Yeah.
Kilted knows this, you probably don't, but one of our very first candy gigs, one of the first ones we did was at the Traverse City Cherry Festival in Michigan. Okay? I don't know if you've ever been to the Cherry Festival, Jason.
No.
It is the main area for the festival is about the size of a small fairgrounds midway.
Okay.
It brings in 1 million people.
Mm.
Okay.
That sounds like a lot of people for a small area.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
there's nothing to freaking do. Like it's that area and there's nothing to fucking do. Okay. So it brings in like 1 million people. We get into it like we don't know anything about it, right? Like we've heard of the Cherry Festival. We know it's a big thing. We don't really know shit.
Relative, but the big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I email one of the people. Like, we're just starting our business. We don't know anything.
Mhm.
Right.
And
We had
there was already a Florida candy distributor
yeah,
signed up to go.
yeah, there was. We might have kicked him out. Um, but I email the person, I'm like, hey, we've got this cool new product. It's nothing you've ever seen. We'd like to come in and do your show. They emailed me right back and said, this is amazing. And, kind of manifesting here. They were like, we literally just had a person pull out and we had an opening and your email popped up.
Person.
Maybe. And but we're like, sweet, we'll come up there. And they're like, it's big. And we're like, yeah, whatever. We'll come on up. So it's me and my wife, and we go to this festival. We've got a 20 by 10 booth. Okay.
Okay.
Candy wall to wall, all stuff that we have to give samples of and then bag ourselves. It's all bulk. Okay, you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Takes 2 people to run the stand. We didn't realize this, right? We're new at it.
Mm-hmm.
There's 1 million people there. Do you know how
Okay, it's
fast?
only 12 hours a day.
And you're going the entire 12. There's only 2 of you. We had 3 kids with us.
And for show, right?
And-
Was it for very first show or?
It was probably like our second or third, but
Okay.
we'd done like little festivals. Like we
Yeah.
had done festivals where maybe we profited like $300, right?
Right.
And we're selling $4 pieces of licorice. And I think the first day we did, I don't know, like $3,000.
That's a lot of candy.
And we've got 3 kids that we're trying to babysit
Yeah.
while both of us are working. Now her parents came up for the start. So they were like, we'll take the kids, you guys just work. And we get done with the first day and we can't even stand, right? Our feet are killing us. Jason, we were moving so fast.
Yeah.
We were throwing the 20s on the ground.
Wow.
So we're taking people's 20s and just setting them on, we're just throwing them behind us. Because we didn't have time because people were throwing money at us that fast because
Wow.
there's only 2 of us. It was 8 days. We had to call people because their parents were leaving after 2. We had to call people, get them up there. Like there was nobody to save you. Like you're saying,
Yeah.
you're the boss. There's nobody to save you. You had to figure it out, and
Yeah.
you're on fire figuring it out. Now,
Yeah.
by the time we did our 10th festival, we weren't even working it anymore, right? We had tons of employees there. They were all doing it. We were just there supervising. It took a long time to get there.
Yeah.
Again, you got to get through the difficulty before you get to the
Yeah. To figure out how the flow works and how to manage it and what to do so that there's that the people aren't walking on top of 20s and
oh my gosh. It was seriously the craziest thing. And
wow.
Kilted's been there before, and it hasn't been like necessarily as bad where he's at, but we'll run that same booth. We will run that with 4 people in the busy time. And during that week, we were running it with 1 or 2, and now we run it with 4.
Wow.
It's
And
just,
you pre-cut your candy now and stuff.
and we pre-cut everything. Yeah. So before it was like every piece that somebody wanted to try, we
Right.
literally cut it for them.
Now you got the samples ready to go.
Now we like preload, like you learn, right?
Yeah. You
So-
learn how to save the time and how to do things efficiently.
And we had employees, I remember we had employees who were like, listen, you can't do that. That takes all the fun out of it. And I'm like, listen, we've been through this.
Mhm.
Trust me, this is the way. And they're like, I don't know. And then after the week, they're like, I don't think we could have survived without it being pre-cut.
Yeah.
I go, you can't. It's so hard.
Yeah.
You know, you take your slow times, cut a few thousand pieces, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again,
I am glad you got it though, because you guys definitely did it a lot longer than we did.
you were out of that for right away, which is, well, you should have been. It was no sheets, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I definitely think we're out now because Amy like canceled the website and everything.
Thanks. No.
And we had people calling us and saying, hey, we wanted you to do shows. And we're like, nope, we're
They're
good.
done.
We're good.
Yeah.
Right.
So what are you going to do with the surplus?
I don't know. I think most of it's all expired anyway. And that was kind of like the problem is we could keep moving it, but it's
Right.
getting older and older, right? It's a perishable good.
Yeah.
So we're getting older. We're to the point where we'd have to order all of the new stuff. Most of our distributors have stopped distributing anyway, right? COVID killed everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'd have to
No,
kind of go back to square one and bring in all new distributors because that's the thing. We're also a wholesaler.
Right.
And we're just like, we don't care.
Yeah. Can you wholesale it to some of the people that you have at an extremely deep discount?
We could, but all of them are pretty much gone. Like they've all stopped.
Yeah.
So we've
I
literally
mean, I
lost
was
them
gonna say, if
all.
it's not expired, you could donate it and write it off. But when it's expired, I think that's frowned upon.
Well, right. If you
We're writing it off
donate
either way.
Yeah. It's the
Oh,
same
that's
thing.
true. Okay.
Yeah.
Either way, it's going to be counted as a loss, right?
Yeah.
Which, speaking of, we haven't talked about NFTs at all, but that's something that you and I've talked about a lot. Like, there should be a point where you get to write off your NFTs.
Yeah.
Well, you can.
Like,
I
what do you
think.
do
I
with
mean,
it?
you just burn them. You send them to an address that's just not recoverable. You've just created a loss.
Well,
I
there you
mean,
go.
yeah, or you're able to sell them for $1.
Right.
That would be a loss.
That would be a loss too. So that's what we need. I think there's groups that already do that, but I
Yeah.
think that's going to be what Kilted does. Kilted Balls, not Kilted Dragon Chair. I think Kilted Balls is going to start accepting everybody's burned things.
Mm-hmm.
So you can donate your trash to us, and then you can write it off.
Oh, like the we buy old cars, like the junk cars and stuff like that. And just
Right.
send
So
them stuff.
kiltedballs.eth, send all of your wasted things to kiltedballs.eth, and then you get to write all of that off as a loss.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be.
So we'll have to start pushing that out to people in like the Twitterverse. Do you have NFTs that are sitting there and they're gone? Maybe lucky mannequins. Oh my gosh, could you imagine if we got like a couple thousand lucky mannequins?
That'd be awesome.
Well,
Makes
and
my say hi.
if they ever took back off, I don't think they ever would, but if they ever did, you'd be sitting on a few thousand. You'd control the market, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of, there's supposed to be an announcement about NFMs.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see what happens. It seems like a lot of people are thinking it was just a slow rug. I mean, I don't know. I put in my 2 cents on the on the Discord there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. I don't think that people trying to berate them like, oh, you have to do this, you promise this and that. I don't think that's helping anything.
No.
Whether they're still trying to decide or not.
The problem I think people are having, we're in a unique spot because we're minors.
Yes.
So if you're a minor, you understand they can't give you what they promised because they literally can't. It's not worth that much. Your electricity costs are too high compared to the price per Bitcoin. You aren't bringing that in. So we made that risk when we said, hey, we're going to postpone it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they've got all of these miners, but they can't pump out that kind of money. So
I think they just need to tell people that. They need to show people.
I think that's going to be like, they didn't show their October report or whatever. And people are like, where is that? Well, right, because you don't want to see it. It's bad. Yeah. Like, I don't even have to see it. I know from our miners it's bad, right? And so they're going to give us those options. And I'll tell you what those options are going to say is, listen, it's bringing in zero. Do you want us to continue to reinvest? Do you want us to start paying you out minuscule amounts? Do you want us to just wait until Bitcoin hits 20,000 and we go again?
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be the options. Anyway, we are running out of time. Jason, thank you so much as always. It was amazing. Yes. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And this is Ballbuster signing off.
Kilted Dragon Chair, love you all.
Jason, bye.